Speaking of hacks, we've got Smokeboy, more Smokeboy. No one knows who Smokeboy is. His debate challenge to her that he discussed on Joe Rogan, well, not everyone is familiar with Smokeboy. Vivian Kubrick, prolific ex-poster, said, who was Andrew Wilson before 2020? I've been trying to establish the background of Smokeboy, host of the Crucible. Here's what caught my attention. Despite his considerable public profile today, ordinary searches have so far failed to produce a clearly authenticated digital trail for him before 2020. Where were you, Smokeboy? No obvious earlier social media identity, no clearly attributable professional profile, no established political or media history, no readily identifiable pre-2020 public footprint that connects directly to the man we know today. That proves nothing by itself, but it leaves a legitimate and interesting question. Who was Andrew Wilson before Paleo ChristCon? It's a good question. It's a good question. What do we know about Andrew Wilson before Paleo ChristCon? Well, one thing we know is that his wife, anyway, claimed he was a master gunsmith and Army sniper. This is Rachel Wilson back in 2012. Comes in handy to have a husband who's a master gunsmith and Army sniper. Was he a master gunsmith and Army sniper? This is interesting. Well, let's keep looking, because if he was, I would like to know. Right? I'd like to know. So let's find out. We've got Andrew here, exposed by Tree of Logic on X, discussing whether he was, in fact, a Army sniper.
What's that?
When were you in the Army?
I was in the Army for a very limited amount of time, years and years ago.
How long was that very limited amount of time, if you don't mind me asking?
It wasn't very, about a year.
He served for about a year. Well, that's interesting. I'm not aware of any Army contract that only lasts a year. What was he actually in the Army? Well, let's find out.
Yeah. So did you serve, Andrew?
I did not, no.
Wait, what? Huh? Wait a minute. Maybe I heard the first clip wrong.
What's that?
When were you in the Army?
I was in the Army for a very limited amount of time, years and years ago.
How long was that very limited amount of time, if you don't mind me asking?
It wasn't very, about a year.
Yeah. So did you serve, Andrew?
I did not, no.
Well, that's interesting. Can we debate that topic on Friday? Can we give that to Candace and say, maybe you lead with this? Maybe you lead with whether he was in the Army. Because that's interesting to me. We also know from his gorgeous bride, very classy gal, we also know that he was going to run for mayor as a libertarian. Went to our local hometown bars tonight, rubbing elbows. Andy is running for mayor 2012 as a libertarian. Woot. Woot, says Rachel Wilson. Woot. I don't know if he ever ran or not. Not able to find any evidence that he did, but I'm not saying he didn't. What does Andy think about conspiracies? Is he a big conspiracy buff? He seems to hate them. He seems to think you have to be able to prove something beyond a reasonable doubt to even speculate on whether it's so, lest you be forced to debate the issue. Well, back in 2021, Andy and I had a conspiracy date night tonight. Oh. A conspiracy documentary date night. Wonder if Andy sent a list of questions to the conspiracy date night people. Smokeboy, if you're going to do this debate on Friday, Smokeboy, you better be able to defend all your positions on all the documentaries you watched. Claims, you got to defend your claims. Oh, no, you won't be doing that because you can't smoke at Candace's house. Not allowed to smoke at Candace's house. He finds the evidence compelling about Tyler Robinson. Here is a tweet from Andy. We're going to call him Andy now. If his mama call him Andy, I'm going to call him Andy. If mama call him Andy, I'm going to call him Andy. I will take the position the state has produced more compelling evidence that Tyler Robinson was the killer and acted alone than Candace Owens or any alt theorist that he hasn't. Okay, so it's more compelling. All right, that's certainly one way to put it. That was just compelling at the time. Has he strengthened his position anymore? Is he ready to defend his position that the evidence is overwhelming? Because I remain not whelmed, very much not whelmed. What say you, Smokeboy? The evidence is so overwhelming and damning in this injustice hearing alone that it boggles the mind. Anybody can still be pushing the Tyler didn't do it narrative. Time to switch up the narrative and pretend it was somehow due to your detective skills that this all came out. All right, you got to defend that then, Smokeboy. I expect that to be the lead issue when you guys meet on Friday. The claim is the evidence is overwhelming and damning that Tyler Robinson did it. That is the overwhelming and damning claim I anticipate we will all see you defend. What else do we have from Smokeboy on this issue we can expect him to defend on Friday? We're giving you a little preview of Candace Owens versus Smokeboy Friday. I anticipate we're going to see him defend all of these claims. The car pulling in, Robinson getting out of it, the fact that he is seen 4 other times on camera, the DNA on the roof amid the screwdriver he left behind. It's overwhelming, man. It's overwhelming, man. Okay, so you should have no trouble. Even if it's just limited to that, you should be able to defend that. It should be overwhelming. Everyone walking away should admit that there is no evidence that's pushing back or creating any kind of doubt, much less reasonable doubt. What about Andy here? This is on July 9th of this year. The evidence is so overwhelming and damn. Oh, I already read that one. Apologize, ladies and gentlemen. I apologize. Here is Rachel, his wife, because he thinks the evidence is overwhelming. And keep in mind, on July 7th, according to Smokeboy, the evidence was overwhelming and damning. Overwhelming and damning. That was Smokeboy. That's the position we expect him to debate. Perhaps he needs to debate his wife. I'm not a Zionist. I'm against Zionism. I'm not paid by anyone to say anything, and I never will be. I do not support the nation state of Israel, and I condemn organizations like Kufi and AIPAC. I do not know who killed Charlie Kirk or how. I'm waiting for the trial before I form a strong opinion. Well, the trial's a year or 2 away. Smoke girl. I see zero proof that Erika, Kirk, or Andrew Kolvet had anything to do with it, so I'm not dumb enough to even insinuate such an extreme claim. I've only ever said that I genuinely think, and I will never accept money to change my position or messaging on anything. I do not know who killed Charlie Kirk or how. And that's interesting because Smokeboy, your betrothed, your love, your husband, he thinks the evidence is overwhelming and damning. Perhaps you should, Andrew, use your wizardry on her so that she believes Tyler did it with a 30-06, because that's going to be your position. I initially thought maybe Smoke Girl shouldn't show up to the debate, but now I'm wondering if she should. She might be on Candace's side. She might be on Candace's side. Put her on that side of the studio. Let her whisper in Candace's ear. He didn't prove anything. He's just hacking up his emphysema. And finally, from Smoke Girl here, just in case you guys have not been following along, this is the wife of the man who believes the evidence is overwhelming and damning that Tyler Robinson alone did it. Where does Andrew ever assert that Tyler Robinson acted alone? I think it's highly likely he was radicalized inside of a Discord, and there could be other people behind it, even if he's the only one who actually committed the act. You guys are the ones who make assumptions. We've been saying to wait for the trial, but so far nobody has come up with any credible evidence that someone else was directly involved. Okay, so she's a conspiracy theorist. She's a conspiracy theorist. A conspiracy is two or more people agreeing to do some illegal act. That's her theory, that other people conspired with Tyler to carry this out.